My name is Carrie Anne Castillo, and I'm from Our Revolution Turlock, but I'm also really proud to be a member of a lot of the groups that are here today. They're all really great and really amazing, and we've been doing really, really great things in the community, and it's because we're all working together. So, thank you. I feel like politics has changed so much over the course of my lifetime. When I was very young, for example, I really felt like the GOP, the people who voted to repeal this ACA, I really feel like those people really cared about me. When I was really young, those people, they cared about me so much. And then I was born. And then I don't think they cared about me any much. You know, they were like, get a job, baby. Pull yourself up by your booty straps. Like many of you here tonight, I was born imperfect. I was born a pre-existing condition. I was born with a major kidney defect that would have been fatal without surgery. I mostly recovered from that now, but I've dealt with a lot of medical issues my whole life. Growing up, I spent a lot of time in doctor's offices, constantly being ill, and on nonstop rounds of antibiotics. I've had multiple surgeries and countless tests and procedures. Currently, my most serious and expensive pre-existing condition happened when I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis about 13 years ago. Those two are separate conditions, and they're often lumped together, but they are two distinct diseases. I'm an overachiever. Crohn's is an autoimmune disease, which means it happens due to factors that are not entirely understood, but generally thought to be both genetic and triggered by an element in the environment. The immune system attacks its own body, starting with the digestive tract. Crohn's disease also causes rampant production of inflammation that starts in the GI, but can travel all over the body. And I have struggled with symptoms including wounds on my skin, eye problems, migraines, and debilitating fatigue and arthritis. The treatment itself is also very risky. I take 2 injections a month in my stomach that I give myself, and the injections kill off my immune system, which helps with my Crohn's disease, but it makes me vulnerable to infection and even death. It happens. I also spent the last 2 years on steroids to keep me well enough to stay out of the hospital, but that has also had serious side effects. Among other things, steroids weaken the bones and can cause early onset osteoporosis. One way or another, I will need extensive medical care for the rest of my life. I've had this disease for well over a decade, and the only way to keep it under control is with a faithful regimen of pills and the incredibly expensive injections that are about $4,000 to $500 a month that I must give myself every 2 weeks to function. And yes, if you're thinking about suggesting I try something, believe me, it's been 13 years. I've tried it. I've tried everything. I still have Crohn's disease. I cannot survive with any quality of life without my medications and injections. It's my only hope. At any time, I'm a few injections away from totally preventable disaster. In addition to my injections, I take a lot of other prescriptions a month, about 8 of them, and I can't even guess the price of how much that would be. I have a GI specialist that I have to see several to many times a year, depending on my health. Plus, I have to do regular and very expensive tests, not to mention all of the appointments and biopsies. I now also have to see a specialist for my eyes to make sure I don't go blind, and a rheumatologist to keep the arthritis from damaging my joints. And of course, my regular physician, because I frequently get respiratory infections and cold viruses, no matter how often I wash my hands or wear a mask, due to my lack of functioning immune system and my 2 tiny germ-infested children.
Aww, but they're so cute.
They are cute. I use a cane frequently now. I'm disabled now. I'm a walking, talking, alphabetical list of pre-existing conditions. Trump Care relies on health savings accounts and high-risk pools for people like me. which is a bullshit way of saying, I guess you just need to stop buying your 8 iPhones a month.
Boo.
When someone struggles with an illness, it doesn't just affect only them, it affects the whole family, and those effects will continue to ripple outward into the community. When the ACA passed, I cried with relief and happiness. I remember rocking my then baby daughter to sleep that night and trying to cry as quietly as possible while reading the news. I remember writing, "Thank you, Mr. President, you may have just saved my life." I had no idea then that I would need it. My husband and I both worked comfortable jobs and we had our pick of insurance. But when you've had serious health problems your whole life, you are constantly aware of how much you have to lose. And we did lose it. After the election, when it became clear that Trump would be our next president, I broke down. I felt I could see the future and all the things we had fought so hard for slipping away. When I recovered from that shock, I made a vow. I would do everything in my power to fight for health care, to fight the changes that Trump would bring. I vowed I was going to make it personal. I wasn't just going to be an activist. I was going to haunt Jeff Denham. And anyone else who tried to take away basic human rights. I was going to fight for the names and the faces of the human beings who would unnecessarily suffer and die from their vote. Jeff Denham, he turned his back on us, but I won't. The ACA and healthcare is why I'm here today. I am literally here because the ACA gave me life-saving treatment while my husband was laid off. It also saved my children because without the ACA, we would have lost our home and suffered financial ruin that would have affected them the rest of their lives. But it's also the reason I became an activist, I got involved, and I'm sharing this story with you. The ACA is deeply flawed, but it showed us that change, real and drastic change, is possible. Because of the ACA, we know that we can push for an even more dramatic change in the healthcare that will open up the door for less expensive healthcare for everybody. For everybody. In our country, with all our wealth, with all our resources, all our technology and education, it is a shame that anyone should have to go without healthcare. Healthcare is a human right. Woo!